Tonight, breaking news, the Prince mystery. What happened in the pop legend's final hours? The autopsy just completed. Authorities revealing two major findings, plus new details on his mid-air health scare as tributes pour in around the world. Also breaking, massive manhunt, a killer on the loose, residents forced to hide inside a church. Already 8 dead, including children. Caught on tape, Trump's top aide revealing the GOP frontrunner has been playing a part that's about to change. Ted Cruz on the attack, saying the comments prove Trump is a con man. Mayday, the inside story of a catamaran capsizing, all of it caught on camera. The moment the ship goes under and the frantic effort by passengers to stay alive. And the royal welcome. The president meets the queen, but leave it to little George to stay up past bedtime to steal the show.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
And good evening, I'm Tom Yamas in for David, and we begin on this Friday night with the first clues in the mystery of Prince's death. The tributes still rolling out across the globe in the wake of his sudden passing. But the preliminary autopsy report tonight shedding a little light. Prince's body now returned to his family, traveling today in this hearse. While fans are still gathering outside his home in Paisley Park, ABC's Dan Harris is there, starting us off with new details of Prince's final moments.
At a news conference late today, the local sheriff said there were no obvious signs of trauma when Prince's body was found Thursday morning.
We have no reason to believe at this point that this was a suicide. But again, this is early on in this investigation.
He filled in some key details of those final hours, saying Prince was last seen at 8 o'clock Wednesday night after being dropped off by an acquaintance. The next morning, staff members got concerned.
They were trying to reach him yesterday morning and were unable to reach Prince. So they responded to Paisley Park to look for him and found him unresponsive in the elevator.
A transcript shows a 911 caller said we have someone who is unconscious at Prince's house.
At Paisley Park, 7801 Audubon Road, person down, not breathing.
First responders attempted CPR but couldn't revive him. At 10:07 a.m., he was pronounced dead. Today, the medical examiner conducted an autopsy, but they say they won't release results until they can get Prince's family and medical history and run a complete toxicology exam, which could take weeks.
Moline traffic, 990 Latino turning final 27, Moline.
Just about a week ago, on his way home to Minneapolis after performing in Atlanta, Prince's plane had to make an emergency landing in Moline, Illinois, descending approximately 45,000 feet in 17 minutes. Prince checked into a local hospital for 3 hours and then went home. His team said he had the flu. The next day, he tweeted that he was throwing a $10 a head dance party at Paisley Park.
He seemed great. He seemed totally fine, energetic.
Local newspaper reporter Sharon Jackson, who was there, said Prince clearly wanted everybody to know he was fine.
What you're describing does not sound like a man on death's door.
I certainly did not get that impression when I was there, that's for sure. It just was a fun celebratory time. It just felt like we were being welcomed into Prince's home in a way and got to share a few minutes with him. We had no reason to be concerned about anything. He said, wait a few days before you waste any prayer.
And Dan Harris joins us live now. Dan, still so many questions tonight. What's next for the investigation?
You're exactly right, Tom. And now that the autopsy has concluded, the body has been returned to Prince's family. The sheriff here says he's got several detectives and several agencies working on this case, but he says do not expect quick answers. He says given the magnitude of this situation, he would rather be right than fast. Tom.
Dan Harris for us tonight. Dan, thank you. And the reaction to Prince's death is coming from across the spectrum and from around the world. ABC's Lindsay Davis on the outpouring from the millions of people he touched.
In the streets, online, even out of this world. NASA joined in the collective remembrances in honor of the musical prodigy by tweeting a picture of Purple Nebula. From Boston to Orlando, New Orleans to Australia, world landmarks bathed in purple. Across the globe, an outpouring and an outcry. Some moved to tears, others moved to dance. Spontaneous dance parties broke out like this one in Brooklyn, hosted by movie director Spike Lee, where they partied like it was 1999. Minneapolis's Mayo Clinic posted this message encouraging people to wear purple. And across the pond at lunch with Queen Elizabeth at Windsor Castle, there was Michelle Obama dressed in the musician's favorite color. A host of celebrities expressed their shock on social media. Bruno Mars posted this photo of a note from Prince. Bruno, may your only heroes be God and yourself. Peace and be wild. Elton John tweeted, he was the greatest performer I have ever seen. A true genius. And this from Cher, I'm sad beyond belief about Prince. All tributes fit for a king. Only today, they were for a prince.
There is a big crowd here at First Avenue, the club where Purple Rain was filmed. There was an all-night Prince dance party last night and another one scheduled for tonight. Tom.
Lindsay, thank you. The overwhelming public outpouring for Prince is a stark contrast to how closely he guarded his private life. Tonight, ABC's Byron Pitts on how much Prince kept to himself and the vault full of music he never released.
We now know for a man so gifted, the groundbreaking music videos and movies. Prince was as complicated as he was creative. That soaring talent born in part out of torment. He once told Tavis Smiley about his early battles with epilepsy.
Getting teased a lot in school, and early in my career I tried to compensate for that by being as flashy as I could.
Indeed a child prodigy, he could play 24 instruments by 12, his first six-figure contract by 19. Prince was quite the ladies' man. Married twice, his list of reported loves read like a who's who of the 1980s and 90s. Madonna, Carmen Electra, his drummer, Sheila E. Despite the exotic gyrations, Prince was said to be a devout Christian. Raised Seventh-day Adventist, he became a Jehovah's Witness in 2001. Can you imagine Prince showing up at your door praising Jehovah? Prince was an artist and an activist, releasing songs in the aftermath of Freddie Gray in Baltimore. Perhaps the biggest secret of this star we barely knew, what of that vault of music he never released?
One day, someone will release them. I don't know that I'll get to release them.
Tonight, outside Harlem's famed Apollo Theater, the faithful have gathered for a second night. Tom, one would imagine that Prince the artist and Prince the businessman would be pleased. Tom?
He was an artist who had so many sides. All right, Byron, thank you. And later this evening, 2020 takes a closer look at Prince, the legend and the mystery. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern. We do move on now to breaking news from Ohio. A killer on the loose after a gruesome scene of carnage. The bodies of at least 8 people, including a child, all members of the same family. 3 children, though, were left alive. The bodies were found in several homes not far from one another. And tonight, the manhunt is on. ABC's Alex Perez is on the scene.
A community on high alert. Tonight, police on the hunt for a cold-blooded killer and any possible accomplices.
There's a strong possibility that any individuals involved with this are armed and extremely dangerous.
The crime scene, a gruesome massacre in rural Ohio. 8 people, including a 16-year-old boy, found dead, shot execution style in 4 separate homes near the village of Peebles. 3 small children, including 2 infants, spared. Police believe all the victims are related.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, the one mom apparently was killed in her bed with the 4-day-old right there.
As word spread, a local high school put on lockdown, and the Ohio Attorney General rushing more than a dozen agents to the scene. Ohio Governor John Kasich, campaigning out of state today, says his office is monitoring the situation. He tweeted, "Reports we are receiving from Peebles are tragic beyond comprehension." And, Tom, it's still unclear what a possible motive here could be. Investigators say they will be working round the clock to track down whoever's responsible. Tom?
Alex, thank you. Next tonight, breaking news. A law enforcement official confirming to ABC News that 500 pounds of commercial-grade fireworks are missing and believed to be stolen from a train traveling between Chicago and Detroit. Authorities say the fireworks, like those used in public fireworks displays, could be dangerous in the wrong hands. Next to the race for the White House and what could be a new Donald Trump in the wings. His new top campaign aide caught on tape saying Trump's fiery image has only been a part he has been playing. His rival Ted Cruz saying that proves what he's been saying all along, that whatever Trump says can't be trusted. ABC's John Carl with details from that recording.
On stage tonight in Delaware.
Go ahead. What the hell? What? Let's have some fun.
It's Friday. Let's have some fun.
Donald Trump sounded like his old self.
Build the wall. Build the wall. They will.
But behind closed doors, the man now taking charge of his campaign was recorded promising Republican officials that Trump will tone it down. The audio obtained by the New York Times.
The part he's been playing is evolving into the part that now you've been expecting, but he wasn't ready for. The negatives will come down. The image is going to change.
Trump's top aide described two Trumps.
When he's sitting in a room, he's talking business, and he's talking in politics in a private room, it's a different persona. And when he's out on the stage, he's projecting an image that's for that purpose.
Trump himself promised a transformation months ago.
I will be changing very rapidly. I'm very capable of changing to anything I want to change to.
Now Senator Ted Cruz, branded Lion Ted by Trump, is turning the insults around.
He is telling us he is lying to us.
Cruz is now calling Trump's entire campaign a lie.
He's telling us he's lying to us. You look at what his campaign manager says, is that this is just an act. This is just a show. It doesn't make any sense to support the guy who is blatantly lying to you and laughing about it. He is making fun of us right now.
And John Carl joins us tonight. And John, we've seen signs of this new Trump, but we're going to be seeing even more next week?
Next week, Trump is delivering what his campaign is billing as a major foreign policy address. This will be one that has specifics, is written with the help of speechwriters, and delivered with something Trump almost never uses, a teleprompter. Tom?
Jonathan Carl for us tonight. John, thank you. And from Virginia, a partisan divide over a voting rights decision by the governor. Democrat Terry McAuliffe restoring voting rights to some 200,000 felons if they've completed their sentence and probation. McAuliffe says he's trying to help undo the state's history of trying to prevent African Americans from fully participating in democracy. Republicans say it's a bid to help Hillary Clinton become president. Now to the extreme weather. Houston finally getting a break after that historic rain. The floodgates on two aging dams opened to release pressure on them, but that sent a foot of water into a nearby neighborhood. Take a look at that. And tonight the rain is moving toward the East Coast. They could use it. Dry conditions are fueling this large wildfire burning in Hyde County, North Carolina. ABC senior meteorologist Rob Marciano with the severe storms in the forecast this weekend. Rob.
Good evening, Tom. That storm that brought all that rain to southeast Texas finally on the move. Not raining here in New York yet, but pretty much everywhere on the East Coast it is. Take a look at the radar, and as you mentioned, we need this rain. We won't get a ton of it, and it should be over by tomorrow lunchtime. Meanwhile, two systems coming into the West Coast. The first one doing some wind damage and through interior parts of California. That will traverse the mountains, and by Sunday, we're looking at a severe weather threat for the plains, northern Oklahoma, up to around Des Moines. The system behind that one is a more potent one, and as it rolls into the plains on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're looking for the potential for a more damaging severe weather outbreak for those 2 days next week. Tom?
All right, Rob, thank you. And from Texas tonight, we do move on to new details of the mysterious killing of a fitness instructor at a church. Police releasing this video from surveillance cameras showing the killer walking the halls just before Missy Beavers arrived. Police also now revealing that the mother of three died from a head wound caused by an unknown instrument. To London, President Obama and the First Lady in a day full of meetings, the Queen, the Prime Minister, and then Prince William, Prince Harry, and Duchess Kate. But this encounter is getting the most buzz. Prince George getting a delay of bedtime to say hello to President Obama. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Terry Moran in London with all the pomp and circumstance.
As the Obamas arrived at Kensington Palace tonight, you could just see him there in the hallway, standing by his dad, Prince William. And once inside, the little prince and the president shared a moment, now melting hearts around the world. Prince George got to stay up 15 minutes past his bedtime to meet the Obamas. It was that kind of day. The Queen and Prince Philip personally greeting the first family outside Windsor Castle. And then look at this. They all pack into the Royal Range Rover with Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, acting as chauffeur.
I have never been driven by a Duke of Edinburgh before.
But the president landed himself in the thick of a ferocious political battle here. Britain's about to vote whether to leave the troubled European Union. Obama's urging them to stay. And the mayor of London, who wants Britain out, sneered in an op-ed piece about taking advice from a, quote, part Kenyan president. Obama shot back.
I'm not coming here to fix any votes. I'm offering my opinion, and you shouldn't be afraid to hear an argument being made.
But the politics here are secondary. This is really a farewell trip, and President Obama seemed almost wistful, bidding goodbye to Queen Elizabeth, who he called a real jewel in the world. Tom?
Terry Moran from London tonight. Terry, thank you. And there's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Friday. The amazing new video of catamaran capsizing, nearly 100 tourists on board, including Americans, and the terrifying moment the water rushes right in. Plus, the major recall tonight involving more than 1 million popular cars and SUVs that could be posing a risk on the roads. And America Strong, a baby left inside a hot car, and the Good Samaritans who helped police save that child. Back now with the Mayday moment at sea, a catamaran capsizing in rough waters. Tonight, new video capturing the frightening moments the boat goes down and what American travelers should be aware of when they book those international excursions. Here's ABC's Clayton Sandell.
A boat full of tourists, music playing. But take a look at those orange life jackets, a signal something is wrong.
There's water in the bottom of the boat.
A catamaran already struggling in rough seas when suddenly things get much worse.
Oh my God.
The boat capsizes. Nearly 100 tourists on a day trip last year off Costa Rica are plunged into the water.
Within a minute, it was flipped very fast. Shocking.
As they try to stay afloat, it becomes apparent not everyone made it.
I think he's dead.
3 people, including 1 American, do not survive, but the rest of the passengers and crew are soon rescued. Ships like this freighter arriving to help. An investigation that included the U.S. Coast Guard found that boat company was not negligent, but Costa Rica has been criticized for not having stronger safety laws that might have prevented that ship from sailing in such rough seas. Tom?
Incredibly chilling video. All right, Clayton, thank you. When we come back, the recall tonight involving more than 1 million popular cars on roads right now. Plus, these aerial images just coming in, the tanker truck swallowed by a parking lot sinkhole. And Humvees literally falling from the sky. A military airdrop exercise takes a dramatic and costly turn. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Index Now. Police and Good Samaritans helping save a baby inside a hot car. The gripping scene in Albuquerque caught on camera 2 women calling police after finding this 2-month-old in an unlocked SUV. Police soothing the child whose temperature had climbed to nearly 102 degrees. The father, who told police he had been donating plasma, was arrested and booked on a felony child abuse charge. Now to Texas, and a tanker truck swallowed by a sinkhole. Take a look at this. A huge hole opening in a parking area, and the tanker truck sucked into an underground parking area in Houston. No word on whether the historic flooding is to blame so far. No injuries. And now to an Army investigation into an airdrop exercise gone wrong. This is truly bizarre video posted to Facebook. U.S. military planes over Germany earlier this month dropping heavy supplies from the sky, including Humvees. 3 of those Humvees breaking free from their parachutes and crashing to earth. There were also no injuries in this story. That investigation is ongoing. And a major recall of millions of vehicles tonight. Fiat Chrysler announcing the recall, including recent model Dodge Chargers and Jeep Grand Cherokees over gear shifters that may increase the risk of accidents. More than 40 injuries potentially tied to this problem so far. All right, when we come back, celebrating the life and legacy of an American original.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Finally, we leave you tonight with a celebration of a music legend. Tonight, millions of us singing in one voice.